So podcast.
But nothing past that, honestly. It was kind of, that's really it. Or it's just
Like nothing I want to air out and blow people up on there.
nothing I want to build people up for either. But at the same time, like I said, nothing too crazy either. Honestly, like I said, probably the worst thing is just like parents yelling at each other or like yelling at them while you're there, or at least while I'm there. That's really the worst that I can think of that really happened. Because there's really nothing weird that I've ever had to experience besides like feeling awkward because of that.
I messed with a girl one time who had a stuntman fetish.
Did you do stunts?
No.
Damn. So how'd you get in? How'd you get in?
What do you mean?
Like, how did you end up hooking up with her if you didn't do stunts?
No. That's not what it is.
What?
The stuntman fetish. Do you know what a stuntman fetish is?
No, I legit thought you were being like, she's into stuntmans.
No.
Doing like dangerous shit.
She liked to be tossed into the air like a stuntman.
Oh.
Hands on the hips, thrown in the air, and she would fall on the ground.
Like, you don't even catch her?
No.
That was a fetish? Or that was
Yeah.
just like something she's...
Nah, dude. She'd like get off on it.
Really?
Like, we would be outside in front of her house on the grass practicing this shit, and I'm pretty sure people thought I was a male cheerleader practicing the routine. And that was her thing.
Huh.
And then afterwards we would do stuff, but the only way we could do it was the stuntman fetish.
Did it get to the point where you were like, this is fucking weird, like, I don't want to do this anymore? Or was it the point where like you were like, that's what you're into? I'm okay with that.
She was attractive enough to where I was like, you can live your own truth.
Okay. So you lived a good life.
Yeah. And on the subject of fetishes, of why we're talking about them, is we saw this movie called May.
The hand fetish.
The 2002 horror film. Directed by some dude.
Some dude that had a fetish for this movie.
Yeah. A guy named Lucky McKee.
What a name.
Who surprisingly did nothing.
Besides this.
And he was in his 20s when he made this movie, bro. He was like 27.
Is this movie considered a classic or no in the horror films?
A cult classic.
Is it really?
Yes.
That's surprising.
And the best way to describe this movie, bro, it's very much so a slow burner.
It's... How do I this? I honestly, when I think about this movie, it is kind of a slow burner. But it's one of those, like, if you really think about it a little bit, it's kind of like trying to get you to be unsettled a bit.
It's a very uncomfortable movie.
Yeah, like, you start to slowly feel more a little uncomfortable watching it.
I think that's kind of cool, though, because, like, it's a 2002 fucking movie, bro. So, like...
I mean, I give it props for that.
It's old, but it has that feeling of, like, the Hereditary movies, Midsummer. Like, it's this really uncomfortable fucking thing to watch at times.
Yeah. And honestly, I can see how doing that, it can be a good movie, like a classic for that. Because, I mean, if you can't really do that, like, if that's what you're going for and you can't do it, then it's like, you know, what kind of movie did you make? But if you can, like, do that where you're not even, like, it's not even, like, well, I mean, I guess it's considered a horror film, but it's not even, like, in the aspect of, like, an act like horror, what you think of it is. It's more of just, like, an unsettling movie where you achieve that still. I don't know.
Yeah, because, like, the movies that came out at that time, they're like Queen of the Damned, Cabin Fever, The Ring, Eight-Legged Freaks. So what I'm noticing here is a pattern of CGI-heavy movies trying to kind of capitalize on the dawn of new technology.
Yeah.
So this movie feels more of a character-driven story.
Compared to those movies, it kind of feels like it's a little more... It's
deeper.
It's deeper, but I was going to say is, like, comparing to those movies, like, with the CGI stuff, it feels like it was filmed before all that was even a thing still.
I know, and it came out at the exact same time.
Yeah, because, like, when I think about it, like, The Ring and all those movies comparing to this, is like, they feel like they're a little bit ahead of their time for the time being, while this one still feel like it was still trying to, like, film before all that came out.
Yeah, something I noticed was that because of it being an early 2000s movie, some of the 90s like cliches kind of like escaped over.
That's what I'm really saying. Like comparing to those movies, I can see how this one's kind of like still not.
It's a time capsule of that time.
Yeah, like it's still trying to like replicate that, even though it's still trying to do it like during like obviously modern time at that time when it was happening.
Yeah.
Because obviously it's not modern time anymore. But at that, it was trying to do modern time of that time, but it's still like you said, still keeping like the early late '90s stuff still in there.
Hmm.
Compared to other ones where it's like, all right, it's more. Let's go ahead of a little more.
Yeah, and like I said, I think the movies I'd compare it to mostly is like that hereditary style of just like that psychological like character exploration, just delving into one person's psyche while like fucked up shit's happening.
Yeah, because like I was saying earlier, it's not based on like a serial killer or stuff like that. It's more of like a
It's grounded.
exactly. It's not like how is it? Yeah, Hereditary, where it's like you don't see any demons or any of that stuff like happening. You know, it's more of like at the very end you kind of see what's going on,
Yeah.
but during the whole movie you're like, what the fuck? It's kind of like a mental thing.
It's definitely like the anti what's that what's the word I'm looking for? It's like the outsider's perspective.
Uh huh.
Like the awkward kid. Like, right, you're supposed to relate to him if you're ever like that social
Yeah,
outcast.
because honestly, like when I'm watching this movie, I kind of thought about it a little bit, and I was like, how many people? Well, I'm pretty sure I have a feeling everyone does, but like going to high school, thinking back to it, like how many people did you see that kind of like gave you the same vibe that this chick gave you?
Like they just didn't fit in.
Like it just didn't fit in, or it was kind of like it was like weird, and like you would look at someone like that guy or that girl's kind of like weird, and you kind of you just don't ever talk to them or mess with them like that. Because like I'm pretty sure everyone thought about it. Like we all had someone or a couple people that you saw were like that.
I think a lot of people can say that they personally felt like that at times.
That too.
Like
I'm
you
like,
had that moments probably where at some moment you were like, all right, I definitely feel alone in this situation.
yeah, like I don't want to be also one sided where I'm let's people like make people feel bad because they were that person either. But
Because there was a long period of time where I felt like May. However, from that perspective, there was people even further outside of the circle than me, and I think that's who like May represents, bro.
far fetched.
Like I was the kid sitting by the trash can on the floor eating my lunch, and then there was the kid like sitting on the toilet like crying into the fucking mac and cheese, bro.
Yeah, that's more out.
But like, yeah, like I said, I think that's another reason this is a cult classic is because a lot of people like champion this chick because it's like, all right, yeah, you're getting back at the bullies, yeah, fuck them.
I can see that being
Like a revenge movie, right? Low key.
like small, yeah, like small horror revenge, like unsettling. I don't know what else I'm trying to think of. Like it's like a mixture of things without it trying to be a mixture of things. If you really think about it, that's what I'm kind of getting at. Because I when you mentioned that whole like slow burn like you know it was like it didn't click on me until right now where I thought about it. I was like, actually, you know what, you're right about it. Because watching, I didn't think of it like that. Where the more and then the more it went on, kind of like the more unsettling, more cringy.
Fire got bigger and bigger.
Yeah, where you're like, okay, it's kind of getting weirder and weirder.
There was a literal metaphor throughout the movie of glass cracking that literally was the slow cracking glass until it shattered.
I didn't even think about that.
But with that being said, we're gonna go ahead and spoil the movie. You ready for this, sir?
Of course.
So right off the bat, man, do you like it?
No.
Not at all. Hit me with it.
No, I don't know. This like I said, like thinking about it now, it was like I can see what you were saying about like almost like making you unsettling the more they went on. Like, but to me, it's like I just wasn't interested in this movie. Like, I understand it's called like cult culture or classic. I mean, but it's like it's just I don't know. This movie was kind of weird to me. Like I understood it and I got what I was going for, but it was just not attention grabbing to me, honestly.
Yeah, like I think it's definitely hard to because this is an older film, so I think when you're like younger, it's harder for these slow burning movies to really catch.
Hmm.
Like compared to newer shit.
Like
Like when the effects aren't insane, when it isn't like insanely dark and creepy from the get go, and it's
Hmm.
just a regular movie pretty much at the start, right? There's nothing really, like you said, pulling you in necessarily.
Hmm. But I don't think it's. I don't think it necessarily has to be where like tension grabbing or like oh shit something something creepy has happened right away or anything like that. Like it doesn't necessarily have to be that. It's just like the story kind of has to be interesting. Like to me, it's just it wasn't like interesting like that. Like I understood it, but it wasn't like oh I thought this was a great movie or I thought this was a good movie. It's just more of like
Do you
okay.
think it's because it's something that you couldn't relate to?
I guess maybe how that's the thing too. Because like I said, when I watched it, I was like it made me think a little bit of like during high school and middle school or whatever you look at the people that are like you thought kind of like were like that were like kind of like weird and then watching it and it's just like it made you kind of like I said it kind of made you cringe a little bit and like it made you feel a little unsettled but it wasn't like to the point where I'm like oh my god this is such a great movie because it did this. It's more like I respect it for he got the job done but it
So what
was
you're telling me is you were probably more like the guy with the hands.
yeah where it's like all right I'm interested all right I lost interest
Because you were on the guy with the hand side of the movie the whole time.
yeah
You're like, I'm banging chicks. I'm making movies. Weird girls are approaching me. I don't need that shit.
yeah like I don't know. It's like I said, I don't know. Something about this movie was just I don't know. I didn't like it. Like I watched it, but it wasn't like oh man, this is a really good movie. I need to watch it again, or I recommend it to someone else. It's more of like one watch. All right, I see what it's going for. That's about it.
This reminds me of Hereditary in the sense of that, like how you said, it's not a fun movie to watch. It's
Hmm.
not something that like I would put on at a party or something that I would recommend to people who aren't like more than just casual horror fans because it's not. It's uncomfortable
You recommended it to me.
because we do a horror movie podcast, sir. You think like you'd have opened up your palate a little more,
Yeah, I know. I know.
but no. It's
Okay.
fine. Like I said, that's why we're here. We're here to discuss these things and get to the bottom of why you don't. Maybe I could pull you on board. Maybe you could pull me off the fucking ship. I don't know.
I don't know. I guess it just kind of depends. I guess once you start going like a little more in detail about it, I'm like, all right, maybe I did change my mind about it, or maybe you changed your mind about it.
Right.
It's kind of like you said, like we said before. It's my first time watching it. Well, compared to yours, it's like your 20th time or whatever,
And you have a 10-year younger mind than I do, pretty
and
much.
that also too.
Yes.
So we're getting a very big difference of perspectives.
So why do I like this film?
Explain to me why do you like this film?
So I like it because, like how I kind of said, there's not a lot necessarily here outside of a character study. The character study of the character May. We get this deep dive into her psyche. At the start of the film, she's this chick with like a lazy eye. We learn at a young age. We see little kids talking to her 'cause she's wearing an eye patch, calling her a fucking pirate.
Love it.
So she's the outcast from day one.
Hmm.
Grows up, she still has the lazy eye because she didn't get it fixed until 20 years later, apparently.
Don't have the money. Don't have the money, I guess, or the sources.
And the second she gets it fixed, apparently that still doesn't fix your psyche.
I mean, I guess if you grew up 20 years like that, it's kind of hard to kind of get rid of it.
The one thing that does kind of irk me about it is they don't explain the origin of where this obsession with like specific body parts comes from.
That and the honestly, the whole thing of like, where did the dog come from? There was no story or anything about the mom having the dog and giving it to her.
Well, I mean, all we know is the mom gave her the doll, but we don't know anything about this obsession with dolls and making shit. I mean,
I was adding to one of those, adding another thing to it. Because besides, like, you don't know anything of, like, why the obsession with body parts. But the other thing is, my thing was, like, well, we don't know anything about the doll or where it came from or why it's haunted or any of that shit.
then
So
we don't know if the doll's haunted.
maybe it's all a mental thing.
Exactly.
Maybe this all never
Which
happened.
which is another thing that was kind of like exciting to me. This is a reason why I thought this movie was cool and why I still think it's cool, bro. The ending scene is one of my favorite what the fuck moments of all time in film history.
I can see that.
Because it's just like this is a completely grounded, very possible horror film. where people are doing very plausible reality like things. A chick turns into a serial killer. She starts killing people. We see that she works in a vet's office, so she knows how to do amputating and all that shit. She's researching books about it and sewing and stuff. Okay, that all makes sense. She does all this shit. Stabs at her own eye. Cool. I think she might be dying. I can't tell.
Pretty sure you would bleed out
She
eventually.
passes out on this fucking human doll she's made. And then the doll's hand reaches up to touch her face. Of its own doing.
I think she died already, and it was just imagination at that
Right,
point.
so either it's an acid trip or somehow this doll fucking came to life, which is a way cooler fucking ending.
I feel like this movie kind of leaves a lot of like open. What do you say? Like open ends where you don't really know much about anything. You don't know anything about where the doll came from. You don't know why the mom has it. You don't know why she's into this or that. You don't know if what happened to the thing, if she's dead or if it's alive. You don't know. It's just a bunch of things I don't think about it. That you don't know anything about. Which is to you could it's you could say it's good because you speculate and it gets you interactive into the movie and kind of give you your own kind of story to it. Then also to an aspect of like, well, I don't have any information at all. So what do I do with it?
Right, but at the end of the day, it doesn't deter me from liking the movie. It doesn't distract me really. Those are just like little things I could poke at that would like say would bother me about this movie.
Yeah, I'm saying like nitpicks. Yeah, I get that. That's what I'm saying. Like, just some people would be like, I'm gonna like have fun with it. And what think about it, theorize what happened, stuff like that. Other people are like, I want details. You know.
Right, but at the end of the day, when this movie starts, it's pretty much just like a hacky early 2000s, late 90s romantic movie, right?
Mm-hmm.
The awkward chick, she's looking for a fucking man. She finds her man. Yeah, she's into his hands a little too much. Oh well. It's kind of weird, but all right, we'll take it.
Yeah.
And this dude, he thinks he's into weird shit.
Different, a whole different type of weird shit. This
Yes.
is what he thinking or what she's thinking. I don't know. Both of them, I guess.
How much would you be willing to like overlook, like if you found a chick that was into you?
Uh, I
Would you
don't.
be out when she bit you? Or would you just be like, hey, don't bite me so hard?
I've had a girl that was into biting.
What?
High school.
What kind of biting?
Nothing too hard, but she was into biting. Like,
Explain.
so once a time. No, I'm kidding. No, she was just. I don't know. I don't remember one time where she did it. I don't remember anything else like ever after. But I remember she did it once.
What did she do?
She bit me
How?
in the neck.
What?
I'm being serious.
Like you guys are making out
Yeah.
and you guys are on a couch?
No, this was at school.
You're at school on a locker?
No, this was like early morning.
On the bleachers?
It was weird. Our school was like you walk in the doors. It's like a little hallway. People hanged out there for the like majority of the time until the bell rang. Everyone go to school. So there.
So you're making out with the chick in the hallway.
It wasn't more making out, but sure, you can go with that because I mean you're not gonna publicly make out either.
Right? But you're gonna publicly bite a dude in his fucking neck.
That's what she did, and she was like, I like biting."
Wait, so did she like pretend like she was gonna give you a hickey or some shit and then she just bit you?
I don't remember. This is like freshman year of high
Or
school.
is she like straight up vampire, like teeth out? And you were just like, let's see what happens.
No, it was more of like I don't remember because I mean, dude, like I said, it was freshman year of high school. I mean, that doesn't seem like it was a long time ago,
Dude, that's an awkward situation.
but it's
How does
like
this not come up at the beginning?
because I haven't thought about it since then.
Okay, but so she bites you, and what's your reaction?
She bites me, and I'm just
Was it like hard or
no, it wasn't.
or was it like a play bite?
it was like a play bite, and I was just like okay. And then I'm pretty sure she remember her telling me she's like, yeah, I'm into biting or some shit like that. And then I was like, you don't really think about much because it's like freshman high school, you know, you're kind of getting more exposed to things, so you're just like, okay, whatever. I don't remember it happening after that, but there was one time when it happened, so it was that time.
Was she white?
No.
She was Mexican?
Yeah.
My boy.
Yeah.
Mm.
But so biting, I'm like, yeah, whatever. Nibble in the ear, whatever.
And if she accidentally broke the skin, would you be upset?
Yeah, at that point, I'd be like, what the fuck are you doing? Not a vampire. Stop being pretending to be a vampire.
But you wouldn't completely cut her off.
No, like I said, so you asked, I'm pretty sure you asked about like what point are you out like biting or stuff like that, and I was like, well, I've already had that, so it's not like I wouldn't be out at that point. If I was gonna compare myself to May, I'd be like, once it starts getting a little weirder, it's like once I start feeling uncomfortable, I should say.
Okay, well, off of that conversation, do you think that if this dude wouldn't have like ghosted her, she would have turned out as nutty as she did?
Going in the direction it was going,
Or do you
it's kind of
think
hard to tell.
you think she
Honestly.
could have been like mitigated? Like she could have been entertained into just being a regular person.
I don't think it's kind of hard to tell because either one, this could have led into her eventually being to how she was at the end of the movie, it's
Yeah.
like complete psychopath, or it could have somehow made her feel like I don't know because I don't know I couldn't tell if she felt like she was normal or not, but it like kind of maybe making her feel like she's kind of normal because she's finally having someone that talking to her, giving her interaction, whereas to you continue doing this kind of like things you're into or weird or like weird things, but it's not like you're going to a psychopath mode. It's more of like I'm feeling more okay. You know, I feel okay with myself because I'm not being that awkward person no one talks to. Now I'm actually having someone to interact with.
Yeah.
So being exposed to like affection and stuff like that. So changes. It could be into like being normal or just being like I feel okay at least. So it's kind of hard to tell because I guess it just kind of depends. But
Yeah, because I think that's something this movie does pretty good is like even the fact that May's like this terrible person doing these horrible things, right? She's not necessarily an unlikable character.
yeah,
Like you do
like
sympathize with her, right?
yeah, like she's not like a person if I saw someone like that, I'm not a person I'm not gonna be like, oh fuck no, I don't
Like,
want
is there not moments
to
in the
deal with
movie
you.
where you would feel kind of like, oh man, I wish I could have just talked to her and like, at least as like a friend, right?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. Like, it's not a person like you see like down the street right now. You're not gonna be like, what the fuck? I don't want to talk to you. I don't want you to touch me at all or interact with me at all. It's more of a person that like if they come up to you, like you'd be nice and talk to them about it or like talk, And if it.
But then again, maybe we're hypocrites, dude, because we were at Poncho's last week and there was a homeless dude with butterfly wings that probably could have used our guidance.
Well, I didn't talk to them because he wasn't on my side. I was talking to the lady that was giving us our food. You were the one that was next to him. He's asked you for food, and you're like, no.
I'm sorry, man.
Were you though?
Context of the story: me and this dude were at a drive-through at 1 o'clock in the morning in downtown, and there was just some homeless guy sitting opposite side of the drive-through window on the median,
From like your distance to my distance.
possibly closer. And he was just staring straight into the passenger side window
Which
of every car going up, asking for food. And he was a very unkept man, very dirty, wearing pink butterfly wings, I think.
I still can't tell if it was a backpack or if it's just like straight on just wings. Like
It was probably a backpack with butterfly wings.
my man.
And he was definitely, all the lights weren't on upstairs because he was like talking to himself, kind of shouting out into the air and shit. It was very uncomfortable.
It just makes you see how kind of sad it is.
Yeah.
Where it's like, damn, like it sucks to see someone like that, but at the same time,
He wasn't getting any of our tacos.
I was gonna say that it's like it sucks to see someone like that, but at the same time, you're just like, I don't want to deal with it. Like, you know what I mean?
It's a terrible way to say it.
It's a terrible way to say it, but it's like if we're being honest, that's exactly how I feel about it. Because it's like most people would be like, all right, I'll buy you food or whatever, whatever, give you money. But it's like some people were just like, I don't want to deal with it, and just you pretend not to hear them, you pretend not to see them, and stuff like that.
So you think that's what people were doing to May?
Yeah, because if we're going back to the movie referencing it, yeah, because I mean, if you really think about it, yeah, there's not much characters in the movie, and I'm pretty sure it's also because not many people would like if you're building off a world off of that, you're not really have much people that interact with you.
Yeah.
Because like if you think about it, there's not much characters that's in the movie at all. And if you're gonna base someone that's kind of like the situation where no one really talks to them, I mean, you really can't have much characters.
There was like a specific moment in the movie, you know, like where she was trying to call that one dude or waiting on his phone call, and she kept like coming home and running to her answering machine or just staring at her phone waiting for a call.
Hmm.
And it's moments like that where like you wish that you wish you could pick up a phone, just dial it and go like, "Hey, look, this dude, he's not the one. It'll be fine though." Blah blah blah.
Yeah, because I mean, at that point, if if you ask, at what point does it become obsessive? Like, at what point do you consider yourself obsessed with someone where you're waiting for a phone call?
When there's nothing else going on in your life, and that's the only like thing.
And at that point, that's all she did. So
Yes.
she was obsessed with the guy.
Hmm.
And then, like I said, it goes back to like maybe it's the first guy that actually gave her affection.
Yes, but she was lashing on to like anything that would come near, like
Exactly. That's what I'm
Anna
saying.
Faris, the chick from Scary Movie, the receptionist or whatever. As soon as she gave her a little bit of attention, bam, she's on her nuts.
I honestly didn't even. I just realized that was the same chick from Scary Movie.
Yeah.
I didn't even think about that. But yeah, it's like the moment you get affection, like in her, like I said, that's why like there's not much characters because no one really. I'm assuming that's why because no one like you had to build a story of like no one talks to her. So the moment someone started talking to her, giving her attention and affection, it's kind of like she kind of latched on because like I don't ever have that, and to me it feels good because I never get it. So I'm gonna attach to myself because I don't know how to handle it.
That's true. That's kind of fucked up
As I'm saying, it's fucked up, but it's like if you really
because
think
it's like if you've never had any type of attention, that is how you would react. Is like this very trying too hard type of way.
yeah, like to you would be like, this is why the fuck are you trying so hard? Like, why are you obsessed? Why are you waiting for my phone calls? Stuff like that. But it's like at the same time, if you think about it, one person could be like, well, I really love you a lot, and I want to spend my life with you or whatever. Other person would be like, well, I never had anything like this similar to it. I don't know how to react to it.
And because this is 2002, this is pre-internet, pre-meeting people online, pre-knowledge about mental health really being a huge thing, right?
Exactly.
So to these people, they're probably like, "Oh, this chick's just a fucking nut."
Yeah, like to people at that point, it's like this chick's crazy. People now, I feel like say like me right now, it's more of like, well, she's crazy, sure,
She's awkward.
but it's not more of her being crazy. It's more of her being like, well, it's socially awkward. She doesn't have interaction. She doesn't know how to
So we'd be
react.
more patient with her as opposed to maybe in 2002, me and you wouldn't have been.
Exactly, because now we're more exposed to it than back then. I'm gonna assume so, because like I said, internet wise, with the internet being, you're exposed to a lot more things more easily, where you know about more stuff compared to back then, where you kind of had to like either experience it or someone told you about it.
True. And those are all like honest assessments of the time. So I guess it kind of gives the people in the movie a pass.
Yeah.
Or do you think they were just assholes kind of too?
Well, I mean, I was only 4 when this movie would have came out. How old were you, man?
10.
10. I mean, I'm sure you remember some of it. Like, do you remember like how people were a little bit back then compared to like how people are now? I mean, as a kid, you don't really remember much, but at the same time, like I'm sure you can kind of get an idea of like people that you met, and people that like if you think back about it, like were people more of an asshole, or people were more just kind of like to themselves, or like do you remember at all?
I think people were a lot less to themselves before phones because the only way you could interact with people was just,
Actually meeting them and seeing them.
yes, as opposed to like everybody just having their face in their phone all the time. You kind of had to be present.
Hmm.
Like, for example, meeting somebody at the laundromat or some shit like that. I mean, I'm sure that still happens nowadays, clearly.
But it's not super like big like how it used to be.
No, like that's that joke that like um kids nowadays are more likely to like hit each other up on Instagram, be in the DMs, be on Twitter first, and like, follow, and all that shit before just walking up to somebody and introducing yourself.
Honestly, that's very true. It's like you you get so attached to social media and technology and everything where it's like you kind of build it off your life, which to an aspect you kind of have to because times are moving, but at the same time it's like how deep do you consult to it, or like you said, instead of someone going up to be like, "Hey, I think you're really pretty," I kind of want to get to know you, go from there. You're just kind of like follow, like, like
What did you think of like the gore stuff
early
and the
2000,
violence?
early 2000 violence. Nothing,
Yeah,
nothing
the kills
like
were actually pretty generic if you think about it.
that's what I'm saying. Early 2000s, or even then, even like late 90s
I
type.
think that could be another reason why, like, because honestly, like, the kills aren't anything spectacular. They kill a cat, which was different.
I was like, what the fuck? When that happened, I was like, what the fuck? Like,
That was out of nowhere, because that's the first, like, violent thing she does, right?
that was out of nowhere, and I'm like, how does a cat die from that? And like,
It's a heavy fucking ashtray.
it's a heavy ashtray, but like, it wasn't even. It's not even that you would be like weighing tons. It's like a pound or two, maybe even at most. You've never had ceramics class?
No, dude, have you?
Yeah,
When the fuck? What's, like, pottery?
yeah, it's ceramics pottery,
What did you make?
dude. I've had it like twice, or and
How did you take it twice? You volunteered for it?
no, like middle school and then like high school.
Did you want to be the guy from that movie Ghost, where he's, like, behind the chick, holding her hands, making the fucking pot?
Holding your hips and your ass.
What did you do? Learn how to make your own dildos?
Can you let me answer the damn question? And
Okay,
then
go.
I'll tell you.
All right, go.
No, okay.
The
No,
dildos were huge.
those were huge.
Okay,
It's just like curriculums you take. They're like electives.
So
Like,
what were the other options that weren't on the table for you once ceramics was?
well, some of them classes they didn't let you pick. Some of them they do. It was like my options, if I remember correctly, my options weren't that great because I already took in PE and I already took in computers and all that stuff. Like I
I
already
would have took a second one of either of those classes
well, that's the thing,
before
though,
ceramics.
they do it for like a full semester, so they do like half and half. So like it's already considered gym one, gym two. Your half a semester gym one, half a semester gym two. So it's like you have to take them all together. So at this point, I was kind of like, I kind of already did all the like, I guess the fun ones you would think are fun, I guess. So I was kind of like, ceramics doesn't sound as bad compared to I don't even know what else it was. Like plus also it was kind of like career based, so like I couldn't if I wanted to do a food like a cooking class or whatever like that, I couldn't do that because I wasn't in the correct like what is it called, like career path for it. But at the same time, I don't know how ceramics is one thing that's
Your school was terrible, bro, because you're nowhere near a career in ceramics.
exactly. But whatever, like I had to be in like the hospitality or like the cooking shit to be able to take something like that. But I'm like, well, if I wanted to, I can't because it's not my career path. But like I said, I don't know how the fuck ceramics isn't part of my career path. But here I took ceramics. But anyways, back to the point where I was saying, making pots and like little mugs and shit like that. So it's like it's not heavy at the end of the day. Like once it's made, sure it's heavy because the what is it called, like the soil or whatever the extra molding stuff is called, that the clay, like the clay is heavy when it's wet and all that stuff, but once it's dried and fired up in the oven and all that shit, it's like super light. So that's what I was like, and I'm like, for her throwing that shit and hitting a cat from like 5 feet away,
Maybe she had a cast iron fucking ashtray.
the little girl made it.
Oh yeah, you're right.
It's not like she made professional clay maker.
Maybe she was a fucking mason, bro. Made of stone.
I'm like, I mean, I know the movie's not supposed to an aspect it's supposed to be realistic, but it's like you couldn't throw it to a cat and the cat would expect to just die instantly like that.
But tell me it wasn't disturbing, like when she had the cat's dead body and she was like spraying it with fucking air freshener, like as she was like stroking it.
See, that's when it started to get like into the psychopath
Yeah.
mentality, which is like, that's what I'm saying, it starts to get unsettling.
And remember, the first thing she does after she brings the dude over and he gets creeped out by her doll, she punches the fucking doll case, and that's when the first crack appears.
What was it?
Yes.
I don't remember.
And then from that point on, events through the movie, she slowly starts to like, there's cracks getting deeper and deeper into the doll case.
Well, it's like how you said it. I think, do you think about it now?
It's a metaphor
it's
for
a metaphor.
psyche.
Yeah, it's a metaphor of what moment does she break?
Yes. And of course, let's talk about the moment when it breaks.
What about it?
You don't remember it?
Was she in the bathroom crying?
No, sir. She took it to the class of blind kids.
Oh, the blind kids. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I was thinking of like the cracks, like how bad it got worse. I forgot. Yeah, she took it to the class of blind kids that she wanted to volunteer for, and then
Nope.
why you wanted to do that when the kids can't even see it? Sure, but I mean, I guess like I said, it
She had
never.
good
She
intentions.
had good intentions because it's like this is my friend, like
We're
this.
saying why, like, but it does make sense in the context of the story. She thought she could help kids that were similar to herself. She saw herself in these
Doesn't
kids.
say like it makes sense, but if you're being logistically, like doesn't make sense to do that. But yeah, like she took it, and like that same girl that made the little ashtray for her was like, "I want to see, I want to touch it," and then like all the
Now,
kids were starting to get to it.
now, what we would ask is why weren't the teachers more?
Like
Oh, she obviously doesn't got this. So let me step in real quick. Kids, 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 sit the fuck down.
because plot points.
Exactly. Because she drops the damn doll case on the floor and it
It's so
shatters.
funny to me. All the kids are just still trying to get the doll and everything, and they're all bloodied up, and they don't even like nothing's happening. Like they don't feel anything.
I wouldn't even talk about the soundtrack. There's a real specific fucking song, bro. I can't remember it now, but at the time I remember it was like ingrained into my brain.
There's only one song in this whole movie.
Yeah, like one theme song whenever the real weird shit's happening. I remember being a banger though.
I think I have it because I have that one app, the Shazam app thing.
Yeah.
Like it'll if you play it or if you open it and like let it hear the music, it'll tell you what song it is.
So the song stuck out to you, right?
Yeah, it's "Do You Love Me Now" by the Breeders. I think that's the one you're talking about because that's the only movie that
It
their
was
song.
really catchy. Like afterwards, you definitely like hummed it for a little bit. Or at
That was
least I
it.
did.
That was the only one I remember. That's why I did the Shazam because I was like, oh, I wonder what song that is. That's why I have that app, which is kind of something useful.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's only one soundtrack into it, and
But yeah, so the little blind kids, they jump on the ground and they start getting covered in glass and
covered in
just
glass, bleeding everywhere, and it's like, but not in any part of the scene do you hear kids crying or like being
well, you
hurt
do.
or nothing.
They're definitely screaming.
Are they?
They're screaming. It's
I
all
don't
kind
know.
of mixed in though, weird because it's they wanted it to be like this dreamlike aesthetic. Because I don't think they just wanted to show like fucking blind kids like cutting themselves up on the floor. Like there's weird cuts and edits and
I
the
didn't probably
screams
notice
are
that.
like turned into the background and shit.
I guess that makes sense because I was like, I didn't see anything. I saw them just still trying to laugh, not laughing, but like still talking and trying to get the doll. Like, where is it? Stuff like that. Where like they're ignoring the whole like aspect of them being cut up or anything. Like at that point, I'm sure at that age you would start crying instantly.
Yeah. You think she'd go to jail for that? I mean, it wasn't on purpose,
No,
but
I don't think she would go to jail for it. I think, but
I think she would be in big fucking trouble though with the school.
the school and then like their
School would
parents,
be in trouble.
their parents,
They'd
everything.
probably sue the shit out of her for negligence.
That's what I'm saying. Like
She'd
I
have
don't,
to
I wouldn't say she would get like go to jail or anything like that, but I'm sure she'd be like
get fined like a motherfucker.
yeah,
Have to pay like the bills.
bills like hospital bills and stuff like that.
But following this, right, this is when she decides to go on her rampage.
Mm-hmm. Was it?
And yeah, we kind of overglanced the part where she had like the lesbian relationship for about 2 minutes.
I mean, like, I said, there's really not much to talk about this movie besides like the just her character, basically.
Well, because that's what the whole movie is. It's just her character study.
I guess that makes sense.
Her reaching out to different people and them treating her like shit.
Her different interactions with different characters, of people, different personalities. There you go.
Now, though, like I said, after this is when she meets the dude with the fucking spiky hair.
Love the dude.
You think that guy was just trying to bang? Or was like his intentions pure?
His intentions were pure. The other dude was just trying to bang. Because I was thinking about this whole time. I'm like, what the fuck did you see in this girl that was so attractive that you
You got the spiky hair?
No, the other guy. The guy with spiky hair, I could see was just pure attention. So like just trying to hang out.
Bro, he said, do you have ice cubes so I can rub them on my nipples?
Yeah, but I see that.
What? Is that your casual, like, friend vibes, bro? Is that what you do?
I mean, no, but I'm saying like,
You had a daughter and some dude was acting like that, you'd be like, pure intentions. True colors.
I mean, look, that dude was high off his mind, doing weird shit, but nothing at the moment seeing it, nothing too bad. The other guy was just kind of like, I don't have a girlfriend. I have a girlfriend. I don't have a girlfriend
He
actually.
definitely had a girlfriend.
Exactly. This dude was just trying to bang. The other dude was kind of like, Maybe he was trying to bang, but it wasn't more of like that's my instant goal. It was like let's just hang out.
Bro, he walked in her apartment, took his shirt off, and asked for nipples to rub on his fucking nips. Or asked for ice cubes to rub on his nips.
You have nipples to rub my nipples with.
Pretty much.
I mean, I guess.
I think they were both vultures. They saw a vulnerable chick and they were like, this should be easy.
What dude rubs their nipples with ice cubes?
The fucking guy with pure intentions.
I guess it's the same person that would said stuntman.
Exactly.
People are weird. People are some weird shit. Fetishes, stuff like that are just fucking weird.
But so you, though, that registered as like he was just trying to be a bro.
Up until that point, I guess you could say that. Because I guess now that you mentioned it.
I think at the beginning, though, he was all like, yeah, I'm just trying to talk to you. I'm just trying to be your friend or whatnot.
Exactly. That's what I was saying. That's what I was getting to the whole pure intention part. Once you brought up the whole nipple thing, then it's a different story.
Yeah.
So I was referring everything up until that point. Because the nipple thing's kind of like, you don't really do that with a friend. Unless you're super close, I guess. But even that's still weird.
Hell yeah.
But up until that, then that's what I was saying. Like, I feel like it was kind of more of just a genuine, like, let's talk or let's hang out. Or, I don't even know you, but let's go hang out in my apartment. Which is kind of weird. You know, if someone you just meet, you're like, let's go hang out in my apartment.
But again, this is a different time. Murder documentaries and shit, they're not a monster thing.
I guess that's true. But even then, still, like, you have to have at least some aspect of, like, I'm not going to do that.
And if you don't understand social cues and you don't have people in your life telling you, like, don't do that.
I guess that's true. Because, like I said, if it goes back to the whole characteristics of, like, you don't invite just a random stranger to your place. She invites a random stranger to her place because she never has anyone to ever talk to.
Yeah.
So, I guess that makes sense.
Shout out to that guy's hair, though. Shout out to the 90s.
Shout out to the punk aesthetic. Live on.
That's the first thing I thought of is, like, that was that whole thing where I'm telling you they're trying to carry, like, 90s tropes over.
You think this movie was kind of made in the late 90s, but they kind of, like, stopped it for whatever reason and, like, kind of picked it up later again?
No, I think it was made in the very, very early 2000s, and the guys who were making it still had, like, 90s fucking aesthetics over.
I can see that. Yeah, I guess that's true.
Baggy clothes, fucking wonky hair, all that shit.
Greaser dude.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess that makes sense.
Nah, but so she decides she likes the dude's arms, and he finds the cat in her freezer.
Yeah, because she had to go get the ice for the nipples.
Yeah.
What the fuck?
And does that freak you out? You see a cat in somebody's freezer?
Well, fuck yeah. Like, why the fuck do you have a frozen cat in your freezer?
What if she was like, hear me out?
No.
Nothing? What'd you do? Just run?
Well, I mean, that dude was like, what the fuck? You know, I'm getting out of here. And next thing you know, he gets stabbed in the face. But...
Well, she was trying to explain, which she couldn't have clearly. Or maybe she could have.
What was her explanation?
This cat died in my apartment. There's nowhere to bury it right now, so I stuck it in the freezer, and I just haven't gotten around to burying it. Because I don't want it to smell.
Is that literally what it was, or are you just kind of bullshitting this?
I bullshitted that answer. Is that not kind of plausible?
I mean, I guess. Because, I mean, if you really think about it, like, I've thought about it. If you see, like, a dead animal, what do you really do?
Like, if your pet dies, you're supposed to take it into your backyard and bury it.
I know, but, like, that's the thing to do.
But if you live in the city, what do? You just throw it in the dumpster? You call the city to come pick it up?
Because, like, there's a time where I remember I dropped off one of my exes off to work. And on my way back to my house, I saw just a dead dog just in the side of the street. Cat got run over. I felt like shit, but I didn't do anything about it. So I also felt kind of shit because I didn't do anything about it. Because I'm an animal person, at least a dog person, at least.
Yeah.
So it was like, and in my mind, I was thinking to myself, I'm like, what do people do when they see something like that? Do they call like animal control? Do they call like someone, or do they just kind of move out of the way and let someone deal with it, or like what's the real thing you're supposed to do?
There's either animal control or the city. The city has to pick up roadkill and all that shit. That's why there's not just dead like raccoons and squirrels all over the fucking place. Mm-hmm. Now, what they do with those bodies is beyond me. Do they burn them? I doubt they just throw them in the garbage. That seems like a good way to fester fucking new diseases and shit.
I'm sure they burn them.
They have to burn them, right?
They have to, unless like I said, if
They grind them up, make them into fucking McDoubles.
shit, you never know. But that's what I'm saying. Like, what do you do? Like, if your pet dies, like you bury it in the backyard, but is that really what you're supposed to do? Or are you supposed to like, are you supposed to actually tell like animal control, or are you supposed to like
I think
tell the
it's up
city
to you.
something?
I think either you
Decide to bury
you
it.
bury it, you could burn it, do whatever the fuck you want. Whatever, however you feel is the right way. I doubt you just fucking throw it in the garbage.
That would be horrible.
Some people do that probably though.
It's fucked up.
Yeah.
See, now I'm kind of thinking, I'm like, this is kind of fucked up.
That's the most fucked up part you take away from the movie. Not this dude with his soft nipples who got his arms chopped off.
Look, man, I wasn't the one looking at his nipples. Okay,
He was the one
you
talking
were.
about him, and he said his intentions were pure, and he's saying true colors like in Trolls.
You said that it's totally normal for people to rub their nipples.
Look, with pure intentions, bro, you can do whatever you want, apparently.
Look, man, I was here just thinking about my dog, and here you're trying to bring back the whole rubbing nipple shit. Pick an emotion you want me to feel right now.
Ice cubes.
Okay.
But no, so she cuts this dude's arms off. She goes, she finds her lesbian friend,
Oh yeah, she goes after her. She's like
takes that bitch's neck. It's a very specific part.
torso.
She took her whole torso?
Yeah.
No, she didn't.
Whose torso was it then?
It was the Indian dudes. Do you think that guy was Indian or was he a white guy?
I'm a native.
Some type of native?
Yeah.
Like I went with the PC word. That Navajo.
That's Samoan.
Fuck you. No, it was his whole chest though, because it was a dude's chest, definitely. Either that or it was just like a big stuffing. I know for sure it was his arms.
Because I know it was his arms. I was like, was it just her neck? Because that'd be kind of weird just to take a neck. How the fuck does that? Whose head do you have then?
Didn't have a head. It had a stuffed head, like a bunny.
So maybe she did. I don't know, dude. I don't remember. Because it was all sewed up and everything, so you can't really necessarily 100% tell who's who's.
Yeah, I just know it was the lesbian chick's friend's legs.
Lesbian chick's friend's legs,
The hands.
the hands of the dude,
The
the arms of the spiky dude.
She didn't take shit from the guy with the hands girl, did she? Not that she acknowledged.
I don't think she did. At least I don't remember. Maybe that's where the body came from.
Yeah, but so after the whole thing with the so she cuts the lesbian friend's neck with scalpels, right? Just fucking cuts the neck.
Yeah.
That wouldn't be a terrible way to go out.
I'm sure there's more worse ways to go out.
You think that'd be quick? I don't think it would be.
No, I don't think that'd be a quick way to go. I think you're still like
Just choking on your own blood till you die.
choking, depending on how deep it gets. But like I said, I don't think that's the worst way to go. Sure, there's way more.
I think the chick who got the sewing needle in the side of her head was pretty brutal.
Comparing that to the Indian dude or native dude, isn't that the same thing though? Really?
Well, no, he got scissors into his forehead through his hand, which that was pretty brutal too.
What was it? It's kind of like something similar.
Did you kind of suspend disbelief whenever she would attack people? 'Cause she was a tiny chick.
The moment honestly, the moment she killed the cat, it's kind of like that's not okay. But for being realistic with humans wise, I guess.
Or you think you could be caught off guard?
What I was gonna say with the native dude, she stabbed him in the forehead with a pair of scissors and he died.
I know, but like
How hard do you think that is?
snatch, lean back. I feel like it'd be hard for like someone to put
Because
scissors.
having their hand out too, and then still going through their hand, and
She'd
then
have to
the
push
forehead,
through the hand, into my head,
into
through my
your
skull.
into your brain.
Like, don't you think the second this happened, she would have trouble like pushing through an arm?
Exactly. So I was gonna say that was my. Besides the cat, if we're gonna count the cat, the moment she stabbed him through through
I
his
get how
hand,
she got the chick from Scary Movie because that bitch was just straight up like,
and they're sharp.
I dare you to do it.
Yeah, she was into it, so it was like vulnerable, basically.
And the chick, she fucking one-shotted in the side of the head. Like, all right, I get that. She did that quick as fuck.
So that's what I'm saying. Like, I don't know.
But like people who like the native dude who was like definitively like, "Oh, you're a fucking nut. What's going on here?" And was just like watched her grab scissors and go.
Practicing your Chucky stab.
And especially my boy with the hands, bro.
How did she kill him?
She stabbed his chick first.
Oh yeah, he did, and he was like, "What the
And then
fuck?"
he did that fucking scream. I don't know why I always think of that scream. That huh, huh, huh. He like Pee Wee Herman.
Yeah.
And then she just started stabbing him.
See, that one's okay. That one's like realistic.
That one's the most like.
I could see that happening. Besides the one with the neck, the other two were just like, I don't really see that being a thing unless it's like a super sharp knife and you have so much strength to actually just.
Look, if a 5'1" chick walks in this room, bro, and just stabs you in the neck right in front of me, I swear to you, Alex, I'm gonna take this microphone, which the base of it weighs about 25 fucking pounds.
It does not weigh 25 pounds.
It weighs 25 pounds.
Okay.
Is it heavy?
It'd be heavy.
If I hit someone with it very hard, do you think it would hurt?
Of course.
There you go.
Would you kill them?
Now, would I do this?
No. I mean, I guess it depends on how you react.
But then again, you have to expect it, I guess, right?
I'm saying you have
Maybe I'm saying that, but if I saw it, who knows?
That was literally what I was about to say.
Maybe my scream would be even more like awkward.
More girly.
Yeah.
That's what I was about to say, because it's like people say things, but until it happens, you don't really know how you're gonna react. Like you can say, I don't know, like
I'd roll on the ground, kick him in his nuts.
exactly. But when it happens, you'll be the first one to run out the door. It's more of like how you are as a person to really know like how you're really gonna react to something.
Yeah.
Because, like I said, you can be like, "Oh, I'll fucking stab her and beat her ass because if I saw her do that to you," but the moment it happens, and realistically, you run out the door.
Yeah.
It's like totally two different things.
But so we've like explained like how she killed all these people, right?
That's pretty much it.
And like I said, the one thing that I would nitpick at this movie about is we never see like this yearning. I mean, I get it. She wants to create a friend. She can't make any real friends in real life, so she decides she wants to make a friend.
Yeah.
But like, where's the imagery of her like assembling stuff?
What do you mean?
Like, yeah, I get she works in a vet's office. She's kind of into the sewing and into the gore and stuff. So we get she's obsessed with anatomy. But the actual act of her wanting to like assemble, I guess that's kind of the hints, is her like being interested in different parts.
Where it goes into the whole, she's into different body parts. That's her fetish or whatever.
She's into gore.
She's into, and then she's into making her own designs, her own dresses and shit like that. So
Yeah.
So she's into sewing, and then she knows how to sew because of her job, and then since you put it all together, you kind of get what you end up getting, which is the very end, which is her sewing up body parts that she's interested in. She's so good at sewing because that's her job, and she does her own outfits sewing it. And then for her studying all the all this stuff about body parts, she knows how to do it.
Yeah.
So kind of just all slowly just ends up going in one full circle. I think of it this way. Like dark web. You know about that shit, right? And like people back then, it was like, oh my god, fucking dark web. Like don't ever get into that stuff or anything. Basically like we're like afraid of it. Now all you see is TikTok people being like, I'm on the dark web, make fun of it and shit like that. So it's like now it's like people have been exposed to it so much now where it's like it's just a meme at this point. So like that, where people are so exposed to it, it's like, they brush it off. Where as you're not exposed to it enough, it's just like, oh, what the fuck, type of shit.
This is off subject, but do you treat the dark web kind of like fucking paranormal shit?
I don't see it more paranormal. I see it more of like just people are like fucked up, and their way of kind of like doing it, basically.
I don't like. I think of it in paranormal in the sense of like I think that it's not all necessarily inherently evil, but I do know enough that I don't know enough about it to want to ever really fuck with it.
I can't. I mean, if I.
That's what I mean. How I treat it, kind of like paranormal shit.
Okay, I see what you mean now, but I can't tell you because I've never really necessarily been on it. I've only watched videos of people being on it, like actually legit being on it, instead of like those fake ones. Like, oh my god, I bought a crate out of the dark web. Let's see what I get. Oh my god, it's a knife with ketchup on it. No, it's not like that. I mean, like people actually like let me actually get on a different web, like a different whole like virtual machine to like do it. And this is my computer inside another computer, so I don't get traced or shit like that. So stuff like that, where they'll go through it and a lot of shit just memeable shit. Where it's like like oh join my dark culture, just a picture like a stock image or whatever. While other people are like, hey, I'm an actual legit hitman. You can hire me and I'll kill someone for real. Actually, like or like you know porn or shit like people into weird shit that probably illegal in some places, stuff like that. Where it is true and it is kind of like fucked up, but at the same time there's also things where it's not really real, it's kind of just memeable. So it kind of just depends on where you look.
So would you ever get on it?
I'd explore. I wouldn't be like against.
Active.
Yeah, I wouldn't be like not gonna do this.
Not even, bro. I couldn't even like. I wouldn't want to get a fake fucking VPN or whatever. Go on the fucking torrents and nah.
I feel like it'd be doing too much. But if I had access to it, I wouldn't be like I'm gonna go see what I can fucking buy or shit. But
I
just
wouldn't be
like,
scared of it in the sense of like the movies where like, oh, I'm gonna get hacked by these like sex slave operator guys or whatever or some shit or the government. I would be more concerned about like some dude just jacking my fucking credit cards and stuff.
That's the thing. That's why people.
Somebody hacking my webcam and just like watching me beat off.
That's the thing. Like that's the thing. Like there's people actually like that there. So
Those, those I feel like are valid concerns with that.
yeah, like I don't think you'd be 100% concerned about like, oh, the FBI is gonna be showing up my next door the next day or something.
But anyway, so this chick, I like one of my favorite parts of this movie, bro, is the imagery of her in her costume dressed up like the doll.
It kind of portrays this like who she became,
and she has the cooler, and she's like dragging the cooler covered in blood.
and everyone thinks like, oh, cool costume.
That's badass.
I can see that. That would be a way to get away with it. No one's gonna be like, oh shit, she's cool costume.
It was cool imagery. I liked it.
Yeah, I can give it that.
And then she finally assembles this doll.
Assembles the doll, puts it in the bed, realizes that there's no eyeballs.
And the movie does start with her cutting her eye out.
Exactly. That's what I was gonna like. It starts with how the movie ends, almost.
Had you forgotten about that by the time it got to the end? Or did you still wonder, like, when is this bitch going to cut her own eye out?
I forgot about it, honestly.
I did too.
I forgot about it until it happened, and I was like, oh shit, that happened in the beginning of the movie. And even then, I was still like, eh. But it happened. She cut her eye out because she noticed that she's missing eyeballs. She gets one of her eyeballs out.
So did you expect the life-size fucking doll of people body parts? Or was that a surprise?
No, I expected it. Because, I mean, if her sewing and her into body parts, taking body parts, you kind
And she says the line, I need more parts.
You would assume that's what's going to happen.
Now, did you expect it to look like what it looked like? I feel like that was pretty unique.
No, I didn't expect it to look like that. So that was kind of unique. That was like...
It was creepy. To me.
It's creepy, but it wasn't creepy like... How do I say this? Like, creepy like...
It wasn't disturbing.
Yeah, like, creepy like not disturbing, but creepy like...
If your mom saw it, do you think she would think it was disturbing?
Yes, of course. Anything that she's...
If any of your other family members that aren't into scary movies, you think they would think it was disturbing?
Yes.
It was disturbing, friend. You have to objectively say it was disturbing.
I guess. Well, to me, it probably wasn't. That's probably why I'm saying
And once
that.
again, and I'm saying that to you because I saw this movie when I was 10 or 12, somewhere very young. So to me, that's ingrained into my brain. I remember at that time, when I don't have the vast collection of horror things in my mind, at the time that stuck with me like a motherfucker. It was hella creepy.
I guess it's true. Depending on how you see it. Like, to me, it's like, that's not creepy at all. It's just more of like...
Shock.
Just shock, but not even then the shock. It's more of just weird. But other people would like be like, this is the scariest shit I've seen, depending how old you are, depending on how exposed you are to like, creepy shit and stuff like that. So I guess that is the thing why I didn't see it that way.
So what would you compare the movie to? Like in terms of like scariness and shit?
Like, what would I think of it like to be, or like another movie kind of close?
Another movie close to it.
honestly, that one movie that we did that I didn't finish doing the podcast for because I had to leave. What was it called? It was like the one where they were like an avalanche, or not an avalanche. They were stuck in like in a mountain house or some shit like that.
Oh, The Lodge.
Yeah, the
Oh,
lodge.
that is kind of what this was like too. It was a character study, psychological horror. Not a lot happens except until the end. Similar to
Yeah,
that movie.
I couldn't remember the name of it because I only did half of it, so I forgot.
A fuck ton of build up. You're right. That's another good example. I like
Where
that.
it's like it's build up to like eventually what happens, but you don't expect. Oh, I guess in that one you don't really expect much because at first you're kind of like, oh shit, actually, oh wait, that's not it. So it throws a curve at you where you're like, oh shit, it's not true. Where this one is kind of like you kind of expect where it's going, but it's in the same concept of the building up to like the creepiness or like the not horror but like the psychological part of it
Yeah.
where that's psychological movie where this one is not necessarily a psychological movie, but you can kind of say it's kind of building like it is. Where it's like you said, slowly the more it goes, the slowly or the slower it becomes more creepy or like unsettling or cringe worth or something like that.
Cringe is a good word for it.
Because I feel like this movie is more cringe than anything.
Cringe and uncomfortable.
Yeah, cringe of like it's fucking stupid, but more of like cringe of like it's kind of unsettling, but at the same time, like I said, there are people like that. Like you don't have friends. It's very weird socially, awkwardly.
I think the scene where she's rubbing her face in the dude's hands while he's asleep is very cringe. One of those uncomfortable movies is like you're kind of like uncomfortable in your chair, like don't fucking do it. That's weird. People are gonna see. He's gonna wake up and it's gonna be weird.
That's kind of like how I felt a little bit. I felt a little bit of both.
It's like please don't do that.
Yeah, it's more of like please don't do that. Not because it's just like please don't just don't do it.
Yeah.
It's one of those movies.
But I think that's a good comparison. Like I said, I got like not necessarily in terms of like the quality of it, like Hereditary, but I got that definite tone.
Mm-hmm. That's what I would compare it to because I don't know what you were gonna compare it to until I brought that one up.
No, I had said Hereditary, but fucking that's another part that makes it like cool to me is that it's such an old movie before you got to movies like that.
Uh huh.
Because think about it, Hereditary and The Lodge and shit, those are all late 2000s movies.
Actually, they were pretty recent.
2016 plus, 2018, something like that.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, for this movie to do that, 15 years predating those, that's impressive.
I'm trying to think. Were there other movies?
There is definitely other movies. They're probably lesser knowns that I could probably even point out on the shelf or some shit.
that did the before this movie.
Yes, but this is just like the one that comes to mind. And Hereditary and The Lodge, those are more like
Recent.
bigger movies. Or at least Hereditary was.
Well, I can see Lodge was kind of at least production wise.
Yeah. Like, there's more lesser known movies like The Innkeepers and shit. But, like, clearly those are things that you probably wouldn't have heard of because they're more indie movies.
Like more. I would say more towards the disturbing movies, if anything. Because like,
Do you think this would, like, justify to be on one of those, like, disturbing movies lists? I think it kind of would, bro, because it's one of the earlier ones.
yes, that's kind of where I was going to. Because I don't think it'd be considered more of a horror movie. I think it'd be considered more of like the disturbing movie.
Yeah.
Because like how it makes you feel, like how I said, it kind of made you feel like the more you the more you were watching it, the more like you kind of felt like unsettled or cringed or stuff like that. Or kind of made you. It wasn't disturbing like
So kind of like the house that Jack built.
yeah, where it's not like oh my god, I'm seeing so much gore and like fucked up shit, but more of like a psychological, where it's like it's kind of like.
But there was a payoff because after all that, there was a lot of gore and stuff. Actually, there wasn't that much gore, but it was violent and a lot of implied fucked up shit.
Cringy violence. Nothing.
But still, though, so like we talked about it already, the ending of the movie, the very end, when the doll moves, to me, bro, like I said, fire. 10 to 12-year-old Chris was like, I shit myself.
Literally.
Spiritually, religiously, all of it. I was like, yo, that was dope. But for you, it was just kind of meh.
Yeah, because I'm like, I get it. But it's like, it wasn't much for me, at least.
I got excited because for me, like,
Or are you thinking? Are you thinking like when you first saw it 10 years old? Or are you thinking like when you just saw it, like maybe a week or two?
even a week or two ago, because when you see that, it like opens the possibility for so much fucking more.
If you really think about it, is that a wholesome moment?
It's supposed to be registered as wholesome, but then like the moment that
It's fucked
happens,
up and disturbed.
there's like this explosion that happens in the back of my fucking dome that's like, oh, is it alive? Is there supernatural elements to all of this?
Is it alive or is she dead?
Does she have some type of superpowers? Does she conjure this shit up? Is this evil?
Is
Is
it
it good?
Frankenstein?
Frankenstein? Like,
Did she did like did she possess the?
is she inside of it now or fucking,
And back to what I said, the whole there's so many damn questions in this movie that doesn't get explained. Where it's either you either fantasize about it, or you question why didn't I get enough details about this. You're just left in cliffhangers, which I don't know if they're.
it's a cool cliffhanger though.
It, it's
Because
a
the
cliffhanger.
story ended.
That's
That was
really all it
extra.
is, just a cliffhanger. And at that point, I don't know if they're trying to intend to make another one. Or
I don't even know if you can call it a cliffhanger because technically
It
May's
wasn't.
story ended.
It's not a cliffhanger. It's unless they're trying to do a spin-off movie with that, then sure. But other than
It's
that,
like the perfect fucking like I said, for me it was just this extra little like cherry on top. And for me it just worked. Because like I said, I like cosmic horror. So the second it does that, it opens up that third eye and it's like, oh, this is beyond, just slasher.
is this even a slasher movie?
Yeah. Half.
Like
Is
10 minutes left of the movie.
What's this motion called?
Hand-slinging slasher.
Exactly.
I mean, like, so okay. What would you consider this movie to be then? If you were
It's
like,
definitely more psychological, but like there's definitely slasher elements.
okay, psychological, disturbing.
Wouldn't call it a thriller. It wasn't really that exciting.
Would you really consider it a slasher
Yeah,
compared to other slasher movies?
pretty much. I mean, she's stabbing motherfuckers.
Even if it's like the last 10 minutes of the movie.
Yeah, because it's like a good 15, 20-minute chunk of it. More revenge horror, psychological, with
Okay,
a
then
dab of slasher.
You know what? Now that you mentioned that and brought it up, I think I consider this more of a revenge movie, in a way.
Like, because we've talked about this before. You said you didn't realize that horror had all these subgenres. Like, it's cool to be able to like,
Think about it,
yeah,
because now you're like, well, what would we consider it? Because now I remember the revenge aspect. Well, it's a revenge movie because she kind of did get revenge,
Yeah.
in a sense. It's like you can kind of, if you nitpick it, you can kind of put this in different categories. Where it's not 100% a full on this, but it
could even be kind of a romance movie.
That's what I'm saying. This movie, now that you blowing my mind right now, this movie kind of had a little bit of everything.
Yeah. Had the love story. Had the gore.
Revenge,
The revenge.
disturbing, aspect,
Psychological shit.
slasher,
There's good imagery to show that psychological aspect.
tone. I
The
don't know.
tone was pretty even. The music and shit, it kept you kind of on this uncomfortable. You never really were, oh, this is going to be good. Like, this is going to be a good thing.
It's gonna be a good movie. Fuck, that was not.
You're not going to be in a good mood watching this.
You think that's what they were trying to go for, or they kind of just somehow stumbled upon that?
They had to have been going for it.
You sure?
I think so.
Sure, it's not like an accident.
I don't think.
Like
I mean,
like to them, it'd be like a beautiful accident that happened.
I would
how
say
they
that
say
if
it.
this dude had made like a fuck ton of other movies and they were all just like
Something
shit,
similar.
but he only made this one and a couple TV credits, and I think there might be like one or two other movies, but just he never popped off. I think maybe this was like his masterpiece, the one thing he put all of his eggs into.
You figured if you did that, though, you would have made something else.
You would think, especially being that young, right?
I mean, I don't know. Straight out of college or what?
Pretty much,
What if it was that one guy that made the movie?
because he was born in '75, so he was
I just thought
22
about
when this
that.
movie came out.
I just thought about that one scene right now, about the cannibalism scene. Do you remember?
Mm-hmm. Oh, I'm lying. This dude made some bangers, brother.
Wow, you don't even know anything about the guy. What a critic.
Fuck no, I don't know.
What a movie critic.
Listen, I just now looked. I don't know why when I look at this, I remember in my head I was like, oh, so he did nothing. But now that I'm looking at this, I see at least one that I know that was fucking fire. This little gem, The Woman, another fucking.
Isn't that one of the movies that you told me about?
I don't have it, but I want it. That one's fire, dude. We gotta watch that.
Um, what else did he make?
Okay, so before he made this, he made a movie called All Cheerleaders Die in 2001, which I don't think is a banger. A movie called The Woods from 2006.
That sounds familiar. Let's see.
Blood Money in 2017. I don't think you know what that is.
Never mind. It sounded familiar. I didn't. I guess must have thought of something else.
Yeah. But yeah.
Hmm. If he was going for the same, it's just. Well, I shouldn't say that. I should say if all the movies that he made had the same effect of like what just happened with this movie, where it had everything, I'd say the man is genius. But if this is just a one hit wonder, then I don't know what else to say about this dude.
I mean, we're not really talking about the director, though. It's the movie. Regardless of how you feel about him, it's his creation and how you interpret it. And that's how I interpret it.
It's either a beautiful accident that this movie was made, or I don't even know. I don't even know what's going with that, honestly. I feel like at this point, it's kind of like good movie or not good movie. I'm still in the aspect of like I see what you're
All
going.
right, so we're in the post part now. So has your opinion swayed at all?
My opinion swayed that we didn't really talk about this movie, and we kind of just bullshitted for the next hour or 2 hours that we were doing this. But aspect of the movie wise, made me see a little more than I probably saw when I first came in to do this podcast.
I don't blame you, dude. Like I said, it's not necessarily an exciting movie. There's not crazy visuals. There's nothing, that stands out like at first glance,
Mm-hmm.
And it's not a thriller. It's not heart pumping the whole time. It's definitely a slow burning candle, and you have to kind of be in the right mindset.
Honestly, it's just like I said. It's just a disturbing movie, but it's nothing like disturbing where it's like uncomfortable or anything. It's just kind of just like slow building disturbing where I'm like you kind of like you're cringe where I'm like please don't do that it's type of stuff disturbing. But like I said, throughout this whole talk, honestly, kind of opened my mind a little bit about it. So I give credit where it's due, but at the same time, it still doesn't change my opinion kind of how the movie, like how I saw it, honestly. It's kind of one of those where it's like, I see what you're going for. I appreciate it. Do I think it's a really good movie? Personally, no. But I can see why other people do think this is a good movie.
Hit me with the rating.
I did 2.5.
2.5, son. Not even a 3. Savage.
I'm like, I was trying to think. I'm like, but I don't really think there's anything that would be like a 3 for me in this movie.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's more of like I said. I can see what you're going for. Some stuff are pretty cool. You did get the disturbing aspect of it, and I can see that why other people like this movie. But to me, it's like it's not like I love this movie or this is a good movie. I consider it to people where I'm like I'm glad I watched it. It's more of like kind of had to watch it, not in the sense of like I had to watch it, be like I was forced to watch it. Like
Did you like it better than Quarantine?
That's a tough one.
Or are they like on the same level?
I don't know. I think I would have liked Quarantine a little better, honestly.
You like Quarantine better? And you hated Quarantine, bro.
I fucking hated that movie. But it's like, at least I was kind of like a little invested in it. This one was kind of more of like, I can see how it's relatable, but I'm not like.
Did you almost feel like you were forced to watch it? Because I feel like that's how Quarantine felt. Like for Quarantine, the duration of it, bro, I was kind of like, can we just get to the end? I think that would make it less than this one. Because this one I actually wanted to see how the story progressed.
I think me and you, our roles reversed with this movie and that movie. Because like Quarantine, I think I was the one that picked it out. So, and because, wreck and all that stuff. So I was like, okay, I want to check it out. So I was kind of actually invested. Up until the point where I started hating it, and I wanted it to be over. But up until that point, I was actually kind of invested in it. This one was kind of more like, oh yeah, you chose this movie. You said it was good, so I'm like, check it out. And I was like, I wasn't 100% invested because I didn't pick it.
I didn't tell you it was good. I said I liked it.
I don't remember what you said. Something like that. You basically made it seem like it was a good idea to watch it in the sense of what I'm trying to get at.
I think I just said this would be fun or something.
Something like that. Like you really wanted reviews. Something like that.
Mm-hmm.
So with me, then that was like, all right, it's a really, he's really wanted me to see this for some reason. So then, with quarantine, I picked it up. I'm like, I kind of want to watch this. So the first 30 minutes of quarantine or whatever, I was like, all right, I want to watch it. Okay, I see what's going on. But then after that, I'm like, I hate this movie. Where this one, it's like, I wasn't like, I want to watch it, but it's like, he said it was, he wanted to do it, and I'm sure for a reason he wants to. So I'm like open minded to it, but I'm not like invested in it. So I'm like, the whole time it's kind of just like slow burn.
I think you rated Quarantine lower than this. Pretty sure you gave it a 2 or a 1 possibly.
For quarantine?
Because we shit all over Quarantine. If anybody wants to go back and run that podcast back, that one, it's almost as bad as Army of the Dead.
Army of the Dead was way better than Quarantine, though.
I know, but we still murdered it.
Still murdered it.
But that's because we had higher expectations.
We had higher expectations, but I still had fun watching Army of the Dead. As shitty as it was, I still had fun watching it compared to like Quarantine, where I'm just like, I want this to be over. So I don't even remember what I rated Quarantine, but if I feel like I would rate Quarantine maybe higher than this by 0.5. So if I rated this Quarantine at 3, then I guess this would be a 2.5 or whatever.
I feel like you had to have rated it 2 because I think this is one of the first points we've had in the movie, like halves.
Really? Is this halves?
Yeah, you did 2.5.
No, but like other movies.
Yeah, we don't really
do halves.
Well, I don't care if you do it, but I'm just saying.
No. I'm
so
like
2.5, nigga. If that's your gut reaction, that's fine.
Yeah, because I'm gonna assume I did Quarantine like a 3, or
it had to have been a 2.
2.
Because you were furious during that one.
I was fucking pissed about that one. But I mean, it was fun dog shitting on it, so I just was 2.5. It's like I said,
that's respectable.
It's there. I see what it's going for. It's not horrible to watch, but it's not like my cup of tea type of movie either.
I was dancing between a 3 or a 4, and I think I'll go 4 just because I personally see a lot in it.
I think you should go 3.5 so we stick to the halves.
No. You're going to live on that little half island, half alone. Nah, dude, but I enjoyed it still. I still like this journey we go on with this character. I like how she escalates, how she's this meek little person, and by the end of it, she's a fucking murdering psycho. And then the twist at the end is the icing. I think if it wasn't for the twist on the end, I would be a 3. But the twist at the end bumps it an entire point for me. Because like I said, that just...
a half point.
It expands the universe in a direction that I enjoy.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, I go 4 for May.
This is the highest rated movie you rated, I think, so far. From like...
No, there's definitely a 5. There's a movie I did called The Collector. I think I rated that one a 5.
No, I'm talking about like movies that we've done.
Yeah, probably.
I think this is the highest one. So how are you gonna cut this back into this?
So now we move on. And with the laughing shits going in there.
All right.
Anyways, so...
What's the one thing...
That was a review of May.
What's the one thing that you have on topic right now that you always do at the very end of the reviews where you do that one topic that you want to talk about? What is it?
I have it.
What is it?
It's a man named Anatoly Moskvin.
I'm already out.
Also known as the Russian doll maker.
You and your damn dolls. I just fucking...
So this dude named... I don't even know how you pronounce his name. He's a Russian guy. Evidently, he's called the Russian doll maker.
Just call him Russian man.
So, apparently he was this dude who was like some type of philosopher. He studied like Celtic religions, and he had this weird obsession with like burials and shit. And apparently he had this trauma that stemmed from when he was a kid, where he's at the funeral of a child, a 7-year-old girl, and his family made him kiss the cheek of the corpse at the wake. And he remembers it being cold and hard. So, evidently that affected him in some fucked up way.
Okay.
So he goes through his life studying all these like pagan Celtic rituals, different types of burials, And he goes on this fucking Forrest Gump like journey of traveling to cemeteries on foot. He's gone to over 700 cemeteries across countries, continents. I don't fucking know.
Across just Russia.
He said he's walked like 20 miles in a night. He sometimes would sleep on graves, in hotels near cemeteries, in crypts, all kinds of creepy shit. The dude is widely considered one of the foremost experts on cemeteries and burials and shit.
Okay.
So one day, he gets his door kicked in because there's been some grave robberies happening in his hometown.
Uh-huh.
So police kick open his fucking door of his apartment. They find about 26 bodies of children. Not just their bodies, though. They've been covered in like clothing and materials. They've had their faces covered with fucking ceramic faces.
Mm-hmm.
So they look like cherub dolls. And he has them like on his couch, on shelves, in corners of rooms, just all around this fucking apartment.
Mm-hmm.
And they're legit bodies, body parts in most of them. Sometimes complete bodies. So they're interviewing this dude and they're like, why the fuck did you do this? And apparently he went nutty at some point and he started to think he could communicate with the dead. And he said his connection was strongest with kids. So he would like lay on their graves and he would like think he could hear them talking to him. And at one point he said he thought that they would be sad when he would leave. So he thought, I'll just dig them up and take them home with me.
Mm-hmm.
And then he said, he would try to mummify them. That's why they look like, he would cover them in cloth and shit. Mm-hmm. And then he said that their faces they'd start to rot and their faces would look ugly and that would make him sad. That's why he put the masks on them. So they turn into dolls on accident.
Uh-huh.
But allegedly he didn't have any like weird fetish. Like it wasn't a sexual thing. He was just fucking nut, bro. He just wanted to hang out with fucking dead kid bodies because he thought they were talking to him and shit.
Yeah.
But yeah, so he's currently on trial for that still, I think. Because this happened like 4 years ago.
Oh, shit. I thought this was like 10 years ago or something like that.
No, okay, 2011, so 10 years, yeah.
Okay, so I guess it was 10 years ago.
Yeah.
4 years ago, my ass.
But yeah, so he lived with his parents. And whenever they leave on vacation, that's when he would like bring the corpses up and dress them up and shit, I think.
So where would he keep them then?
All over the house. And the parents never questioned where the fuck the dolls came from.
Oh, so they would think it's actual real dolls.
Yes. And they were child size. I'm going to post pictures of like in the TikTok while I'm doing this of like what the doll looks like. It's fucking insane.
Let me see this.
You want to see it?
Yeah.
Hold on.
You should have had this already up, sir. Technical difficulties. Gonna do a cut real quickly.
See that corner picture? Oops.
Love it. Opening up Twitter to tweet right now that we're going live.
There you go.
What if that was the norm for Russian dolls?
That's like just what their dolls look like?
Yeah.
I really hope not.
Yeah, because you would honestly see that and think of like that's a dead human. You would actually,
Even if it was like 4 feet tall?
I mean, there are Barbies that are really tall. And really
Yeah,
big.
like it doesn't look crazy, but if there was multiple ones, and say if you like touched it,
Okay, I mean, this is it. Like looking at it, you wouldn't.
with the story, it's definitely a lot creepier, probably because I read the story before I saw the pictures.
Yeah.
But nonetheless, bro, it's a fucked up story.
Like if I was to see that, what the fuck? If I was to see that doll, like no story background, I just saw it right there. I'm like, oh, it's just a doll that someone bought like at a flea market or some shit like that, you know.
Mm-hmm.
But hearing the story and seeing that, I'm like, like, oh, what the fuck, you know?
I had to click off because the picture was creepy.
I can see that tonight. So it's like, as I was like seeing that, I'm like, it's like a regular foreign-made doll, but then I guess you see multiple of them. You see it's human size, and it's like, all right, it's kind of sketch. So I get it, but I don't know. I don't know how I feel about it.
It relates kind of to the movie, right?
Yeah, because I mean, like dead
The
body
assembling
parts,
of fucking...
disassembling, taking them with you, sewing, shit like that, making them human-like. So it relates.
Yeah, that was like the one thing I kind of wanted to bring up after this. Nah, but like
TikTok viewers,
TikTok viewers.
Instagram viewers.
What do you think? Like type of comment should I be making?
Well, are you
I've
gonna
thought about this, but like I'm drawing a blank on the spot.
are you still gonna put this in the podcast, or did you already cut this a long time ago?
Parts of this is gonna be cut up.
Okay. I mean, it should probably be like a how do you say it?
Like a thank you almost.
Yeah, like almost a thank you for the small amount of views. Like, hey guys, 100 views, 100 followers, or whatever. But I appreciate you guys. It may not seem like a lot, but to me, it's.
Okay, so how about I introduce myself and you? So first things first, my name is Chris, and this is Alex. I'm the host. He's the co-host of the Death Taco podcast. We react to horror films, and sometimes we talk about dumb shit. And apparently, you guys have taken a liking to it. And we appreciate the views we've gotten up until this point. We would appreciate if some of that following would actually track over to our YouTube page, which also the same name, Death Taco Podcast, and Instagram. You can reach out to me and just let me know movies you want to see us react to, or weird stories or something you'd like to see us react to. It's all very much appreciated, and thank you for the support. Well stated.
Yeah.
Short and simple.
Short and simple. I said nothing. I just looked cool.
Hell yeah.
Just like a bodyguard.
Anything you want to add, bro?
No, I mean, honestly, if we're being serious, like, appreciate the people that actually watch this shit. If you really like this stuff, obviously, if you consider to support every part of it, not just Instagram or TikTok, most importantly, the YouTube channel, of course. We really hope to, make something out of it. If we don't, it doesn't happen, it's fine. But at least for the ride that we have, entertain you guys and meet new people, get do new opportunities, and have fun with it. It would be cool one day to be like, hey, let's get a random subscriber to do a virtual podcast with. That'd be something cool to do. Or you know depending how big we get, things can stuff like that can happen.
Yeah. And also let us know how you guys feel about live streams.
Yeah, considering we've trying to push him to do it. Maybe thinking about doing a Twitch stream, and doing a live one, or just kind of just bullshitting, doing, I don't know, playing video games, or just talking about random topics that you guys throw at us in the chat, or if we consider actually doing it, or you guys giving us a follow and checking it out.
That was really cool, and I'm glad you remind me to do that, because I do think about that constantly. However, it's hard, when nothing's set up and I'm on the couch and I'm like, man, I want to thank the fans.
Yeah.
So this was dope. I appreciate this. This was cool.
This is what I'm here for.
But with that being said, let's wrap this up because it's already 2:30 in the morning.
Who the fuck cares?
Right. So, Alex, thank you for being here. Audience, gracias. This has been the Death Taco Podcast.